Revelation 1817. From the 17th of February 1941. Why and when is knowledge of antecedents necessary? It is not important what people think of a teaching that deals with the soul's past life if they only lead a God-pleasing way of life on earth. Knowledge of the time before earthly life is not absolutely necessary for them. But people who live irresponsibly, who do not think about their souls and eternity and only consider earthly life worthy of attention, should be made aware of the consequences of their way of life and thus be given the knowledge about the unspeakably agonizing and infinitely long path the soul has already covered and the consequences of an unused earthly life. The recollection has to be taken from the human being, but the knowledge about the time before the embodiment as a human being can be imparted to him because it is up to him to accept it or not. The unbelieving human being will certainly deny the truth of this and will not feel influenced by it. God, however, sends him the warning so that he will somehow take a stand on it, affirming or denying it. An incredible indifference prevails amongst humanity. Life is taken for granted, but it is not even remotely considered that the human being also has a responsibility for the time of his earthly life, that he is expected to perform, that he is given a task which he has to fulfill. And in order to awaken this sense of responsibility in him, he should know about his past life, as far as this is possible without compulsory faith. The thought of this can be an incentive to live a more conscious life, and therefore God imparts this knowledge to people, which can now be accepted by willing earthly children but which, again, need not necessarily be brought to all people if they endeavor to live a life pleasing to God without this knowledge. But to give people the recollection would put an immense burden on them and make them incapable of living their earthly existence, for then it would no longer be lived in free will but the human being would compulsorily decide to live in accordance with God's will, if it were possible for him to look back on his long life on earth. However, if a person endeavors to live a right life, the knowledge of his past life will not frighten him but only increase his striving to meet the demands of life and to shape himself according to divine will. Admittedly, the human being often resists accepting something completely unknown to him as truth, therefore the reason must be conveyed to him at the same time, and then it will seem understandable to him that this is also only meant to be an aid to lead misguided people back onto the right path of faith. And viewed in this way it will also be acceptable to him what is reported to him about the soul's continued existence. Humanity, which is so distant from God, needs such means, for God knows about its adversity and therefore brings knowledge to its attention which is suitable to remedy the spiritual adversity. Nevertheless, the human beings will remain free. If he resists accepting the knowledge as truth he will not be forced, yet he cannot be made aware of the time before his embodiment as a human being in any other way than through such teachings which are imparted to earthly people with divine approval. Amen.